Also, so myself. Hi guys, we're gonna wait for you guys to come back
to rejoin us. Yep. Oh, Kaz, it's been a long and heavy few weeks. Really, it has.
It's been really testing, and I think it's just the emotions of everything. You know, it's just like having to relive certain racism, the unbiasedness within the workplace. It's just bringing back all those emotions. As you know, I've been like kind of like almost just in my bed, just can't even move because it's just bringing back all of those.
Well, it's triggering, isn't it?
It's trauma.
But it's triggering the trauma. I think the
triggering.
important thing is though, is back to what Michelle said, is that we are about solutions, and so we have to get this stuff off our chest because it weighs so heavy on us, and we have to share our experiences, but because through sharing experiences we generate understanding, and people can also identify with our experiences. But we are very much about solutions. We cannot just dwell in our trauma. We need to move past our trauma, and I think by having these conversations we understand how we're able to do that. So do you want to introduce?
Okay, so guys, we have our next guest, Leah Charles King. She's a multi-award winning TV, radio presenter, and she's also a mental health first aider advocate as well. And she's going to be sharing her journey in regards to being in the mainstream industry and dealing with racism. So Leah, we know you're there, and we are going to get you on with us now.
Okay, well, we're waiting for Leah to join us. Please think about your questions. If you have any questions for Leah, as we said, Leah works in the media industry. Hello, Queen. How are you doing?
Hi. Royal wave.
How are you? Well, we are queens, Leah. We are queens.
I can see that. Two of you there. And you had Michelle on as well, who's a pal of mine. She's fantastic, and as always has such great wisdom and experience to share. Also, I didn't get the wear yellow memo, so I just had
We didn't either. We did not either. Do you know what? We digress a little bit, but we'll share this story. The last time we did the live, I think that a couple of lives ago, and we did the joint lives, I brought this yellow shirt to wear, and guess what Kaz had decided to wear? Yellow. But I had other options. This time I bought this yellow shirt to wear, and guess what Kaz decided to wear? Yellow.
But shades are good, so it's all good. You look beautiful. I'm loving it.
Thank you.
Thanks. As long as Leah says it's all good, we've got approval from the probe, we're good to go.
I've always told you guys, wear colour on camera, and I decided to wear black today, but you know.
By the way, we actually, both of us actually did a one-day presenter training course with Leah, and the insight that she gave us, and just the tools, and she equipped us with so many of the tools and really broke it down for us in terms of what presenting means. And she was hard with us, wasn't she, Kaz?
Mate,
she was hard. She had me crying.
She had me crying.
But it led us to this place,
definitely.
Hey, every time.
Thank you.
Guys popping on here and doing your lives, like, you know yourself, we discuss it all the time, from going back before the training till now. I was watching you with Michelle, just your follow-up questions, the way you're interacting with the camera as well as the viewers. You're doing exactly how I taught you. So
So do
we get gold star?
Gold stars all around.
Okay, so Leah, well, obviously we've got guests who are on the show, and we're obviously dealing with dissecting structural racism within the workplace. So obviously you've been sharing on your Instagram in regards to your journey. So if you don't mind just sharing on our platform in regards to how it was for you, because obviously you started in the industry since being a child, really. Do you know what I mean? And you've had some really challenging times within the industry. So if you don't mind elaborating more in regards to your journey in that area.
I mean, many of you kind of, my story is quite fragmented, I guess, because I've got this whole history in TV, and then I've got the mental health stuff that I've only just started speaking about openly in the last year. And then on top of it now, all of this, we're now finally having these discussions about race. And as we're having now structural racism in the workplace, and me having a career in TV for the last 20 years, I've definitely experienced this throughout. And so much so that actually it wasn't until this moment of this movement at the moment that I realized how deep it's gone. I was able to look at the parallels now of the highs in my life and the downs. And any time that even now I cry and I feel ill mentally, emotionally, what I always will say to whoever I'm speaking to, whoever's comforting me at the time, is I'm tired. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of trying to show people who I am without having to be a label of something. So we'll go back a bit. I am the first and only Black female continuity CITV presenter. So everybody knows CITV, Children's ITV. It's an institution for like 40 odd years. I am the first and only Black female who presented that show in the afternoons. We all watched it growing up. Our kids have watched it. Students watch it. Everyone knows CITV. And when it first happened, it wasn't really a thing. I don't ever recall thinking, oh, I'm the first. It was never, I don't think anyone thought about it. But as the years went on, I started realizing, oh my God, I'm the first. And literally nobody has come after me. And in the beginning, it was quite an accolade to go, oh yeah, I'm the first, I've broken doors. But that's 20 years ago. That was 20 years ago. And so you look at that, and that was my beginning. And just throughout different jobs I've had, I've been hired because I'm Black, I know that. So a lot of positive discrimination, which at times have been required clearly in my industry. But there was a time where it was cool to be Black on TV, you see, and that was in the early 2000s. It was cool to have Black presenters and to have Black stuff on TV, and we were consuming that more because before that, we were all into the American culture, wasn't we? And then like late 90s, I was in a girl band called Cliche then. And coming out of the girl band into the early 2000s into presenting, we decided at that point that we were going to start bigging up our own and ourselves. I mean, we weren't quite ready to go into business together yet, as we are now, but it was opening, you know? And it just seemed that every opportunity in the beginning was based upon me being Black. And that was okay at that point. Of course, you just ride that wave. Suddenly, though, it changed. The reality hit in. And what that reality was is there was a time where in one particular job, it was a quiz show. And I was a really popular presenter on there. And in fact, every job that I've ever done, although I've been the token, I've been the tick box, but I've actually always been the most popular. Now, for me, there's one part of that goes, it's because people don't see color. That's why they just see me and they like what I do and they think I'm fun and, you know, they think I'm entertaining. And on the flip side, I think that, well, you know, there are many more of me that could have that opportunity as well to shine. And we shouldn't just be this sort of thing that is taken out of the cupboard and placed out to perform and then put back in, you know, when they're finished with us. And this particular gig, I was really popular with the viewers, would have the most interaction, all the rest of it. And then that same production, we're actually doing another show, exact same format, but on a more mainstream platform. And so you think it was a given that I was now going to get this mainstream platform. And I had this meeting with the exec and I said, so, you know, yeah, what's happening with the new platform and blah, blah. And he said, oh, yeah, it's all going ahead. But, you know, Leah, you're the best presenter we have here. But unfortunately, we can't put you on. And I said, well, why is that? And he said, well, because our audience aren't used to seeing Black people. So we feel that if we put you as one of the faces, the main faces of this platform, they won't interact with the show. Therefore, we're not going to make any money. People won't watch it. We put you on, it's going to fail, basically. And, but we want you to know that you are the best. And the thing is, it wasn't like they were just telling me that, and I thought, oh, they're just telling me that. They wasn't. I was the best. Do you know what I mean?
You were the best. You still...
And I also believed him when he said we couldn't put you on because of the colour of your skin. Now, that day, I got on the tube and I cried from the West End all the way to North Wheezy. I cry all the way home. I was so upset because I'd experienced racism just in life, as we all have growing up. Different things, you know, that many of you discussed many times with different guests. But I think that was the first time where it was just so ugly in my face when it came to my career. And then I started noticing a pattern. So when he said that to me, I became really depressed. And as many of you know, I have bipolar. And I've never really expressed that actually what triggered the bipolar. I've never told any of you like that until I mentioned it the other night on my live, which was, and I didn't even know it was a thing. It was all the years and of being held back, looking at my peers, why they're being taken across, why they're being given opportunities, why I'm being held back despite you all telling me how good I am, and knowing that I must be good, otherwise I wouldn't be the token one here, because this token one here could have been anyone that you chose. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So when I had that conversation with that exec, I then thought, you know what, this can't be true. I'm going to make a point of meeting every single exec that I can at BBC, ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5, Sky, all of them. And I'm going to see what they have to say, if they're going to say the same thing. What a great experiment. But I wasn't going into it with that view. I just thought, I was so indignant. I thought, nah, that guy must be talking nonsense. This can't be true. And it gave me a fire in my belly, because at this point, I'd had many years experience. I knew that I was good. I had to work doubly hard, particularly because there was one presenter I used to work with, who I won't mention names, but many of you absolutely adore him. And he really bullied me. He really bullied me every day at that job. And because he humiliated me so many times on camera, that's how I became that good. That's why when you guys came to my workshops and I said to you, always have something in your back pocket, always, anything happens, so that nobody at any point can walk all over you in that moment. Be empowered, have something good to go. It came from that, because he humiliated me so many times on camera that I said, that's never going to happen to me again. The last time was the final time, and I made sure I worked 10 times harder. So by the time said exec is saying to me, we can't put you on because you're black, I know that somewhere along the line there's some nonsense being spoken here, because I know that I am the best around here, and you're not denying that. So that's brilliant that you're actually telling me what the truth is, which is that this is a race thing.
Definitely a race thing, Leah. I mean, you know, thank you for being so honest and sharing your experience. And we know all too well about your kind of battle and daily battle with mental health, and you have helped to now start to normalize that conversation. And something I was saying before is all of these microaggressions that we face, it plays havoc with our mental health, because a lot of the time we're internalizing it. You said you went all the way from central London back to Northwest in floods of tears on the train on your own. That is so traumatic. And you know, people will ask, because you are the best. I mean, somebody said here, Carla said, you should be presenting X Factor. You should be presenting This Morning. So the question is...
Well, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, the question is, for somebody who is brilliant, who has been with us for so many years, who has been on our screens, who has a wealth of experience in that field, and is also training others like myself and Kaz, why aren't you further along than you are? Take a sip.
Well, just to give you guys some receipts, it's again the first time I mentioned it was on Sunday on my live, and you can watch it back. To give some context, is that, do you know who I started in the game with? Do you know who my team was, who my peers were? Ant and Dec, Holly Willoughby, Fern Cotton, Stephen Mulhern. Yeah? These were the people that I was on CITV with. We were all under the same umbrella. And every Friday, we'd go live link to Ant and Dec in their London studio, and we'd be on CITV in Birmingham. Hey, Ant and Dec. Hey, Leah. This is what we got coming up tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. All right, Ant and Dec. So this was our relationship. Sometimes they, you know, like a few of them would come on CITV and guest present with me in the afternoons. At times, the CITV presenters would go on SMTV Live with Ant and Dec, and they would be on their show. So these were the levels. And in the days of kids telly, how the formula used to work in TV before social media and that, was that when you got into TV and you got into kids tellies, the way the big execs sort of, I don't want to use the word groomed, but developed you. And then they brought you across and you were the next generation of the primetime presenters. So as you've seen with those colleagues I've mentioned, it's nothing against those people. Good for them. They're living their life. They got their chance. And for many years, actually, I was angry about it because I was told by all the execs, well, not all of them, the ones that I had to do, who were my execs in that line, they're execs as well. And they promised me, they said, but Leah, you know how this goes. We're taking these lot across first and we're coming back for you. Literally, don't worry, just keep on hosting CITV in the afternoons. Everyone's just got, it's a process. Everyone's got their time. So we're taking Ant and Dec now, and then we're taking then they took Stephen, and I was next. I was next.
And you believed them, right? Of course you didn't believe them.
In the end, you know, and months passed and I was on CITV for 2.5 years, and I realized that my boat wasn't coming back. And that's when I defected to Disney, where they treated me with a lot more love. And, you know, I was able to have a really great time there. But you see that, what I just told you there is why I didn't mention it for years, why I only mentioned it to people close around me who knew, and we'd look at TV in a different way. And I love TV. So it was getting to me that every time I'd see certain characters on there, I'm just like really angry, you know, and I just didn't want that to happen anymore. But then what happened, unfortunately, was all those times, and by the way, I went to all those execs and I did get into the Skies and the Beebs and the ITVs. And you have to imagine, guys, that obviously, again, context, they must have known and respect me, because you can't just call up ITV and get meetings with the head honchos. Let me tell you that. Anyone can give it a try now and see how far they get. And every single one of all the different stations and divisions, they all saw me and they all said the same thing. So one particular guy who was at the Beeb, big head honcho, and he said to me, very much similar to what the other exec said. He said, Leah, in London, black people are accepted on TV more. But outside of London, the UK is pretty much racist. And this is a white man. The UK is racist. They're not going to want to see black people on TV. So what you need to do, because by the way, we've watched your show reel, we know who you are, we think you're bloody brilliant, you're one of the best we've got around. However, you need to find a way to be accepted before we can give you an opportunity.
So hold on, so how is it that what is their definition of to be accepted? I just need it to be broken down to me.
Okay, so some of the suggestions that I was given was to date a footballer, because WAGs were really in then. Date a footballer, get in with...
Are you for real? She's for real. I know. But you know, you're just thinking, this is not for real, but this is the level of these people. So go on, give us some more examples. I'm like intrigued now. So date a footballer.
So date a footballer. There was also this kind of cool, trendy presenter crowd. I won't mention any names, but they used to be known for partying, for taking drugs and things like that. He said, go and hang out with those guys, because those guys are always in the magazines or whatever. He said, you know, do stunts like fall out of a cab and flash your knickers or wear no knickers. Do whatever it takes to get people talking about you, good or bad. And then once you're known, then we can give you that opportunity. So, and at that time, that's when like the likes of Jamelia and Alicia Dixon were starting to come through. And he said the reasons why we can accept them is because people knew them from before. They'd had their music careers. If they were just coming in as presenters, no, we couldn't, because they'd have to do the same thing as you. And I'm going, but I've been paying my dues already. I've done the whole kids TV route. I've done the institution. You know, this is how it was supposed to be. That what, you know, you've all told me. But he was like, yeah. So there's been that limbo, and every single place I went to basically said the same thing, and it messed me up. It clearly messed me up. It really did, because obviously when I was working, I was fine, and it goes for now. when I'm doing my thing, I'm fine. And, you know, the minute I have that block, another door, I just go, for goodness sake, when will I get my break? And this isn't nothing to do with wanting fame and fortune, because I've been famous and non-famous so too many times to count. You know, it comes and goes. This is about having my seat at the table that I've worked hard for. And for years and years, I said, well, you can't be good enough. Even though they're telling you you're great, you can't be, because they can't look beyond your color. You know, surely if you're that good, they would look beyond your color. And I beat myself up for so many years, to the point where I had a nervous breakdown. And that was born the story of how I became bipolar.
When was that breakdown, Leah? What year was that?
That break, well, the depression, the real deep depression where I had to go on meds, was about 10 years ago. And then the bipolar, the mania side of it, so the high, came about 8 years ago. And that's when I was diagnosed, about that time. So everything since then has been rehabilitation. Now I want you to understand that I went from being so ill that I didn't even know how to make a plate of food or pay a bill. You know, I had completely lost myself. And everything that you have seen, because you guys didn't even know me before then. You said you knew me and you've seen me on TV, but they didn't together. But everything that you guys have seen me do in the last 8 years has been me. It's been me clawing my way back up. Every single job, every single opportunity, the businesses, the training, over 300 people like yourself. That's why the Red Carpet Academy came out, because I said I need something for me, something that will other people to speak and share their stories and their voices, as the way I feel I'm being stifled right now. And I watched all of you do it, but I still didn't have the guts to do it myself until last year. So all of this is really even a new part of my journey right now. And everything that I've done right now and achieved, I've self-managed myself pretty much for 20 years, because every time I get an agent, even now, the response is, oh yeah, you're brilliant, but you look like somebody else on our books. But I'm not that person on your books.
There's some similar experience. I'll probably share, you know, a bit later on, not within the TV world, because I haven't been in that world, but within the modeling world and stuff like that, and being told the same things as you. But we do have some questions for you, Leah. And one of the questions that Selena Cherry has asked is, do you think that this current movement will make big changes within the industry to give Black presenters more opportunities?
Can I just say first that there is a celebrity question. That's Selena Cherry from the Honeys. I just want you to know. Yeah, the girl.
Oh, hello. That's so funny. That's
yeah, and she could have just asked me that on text. But do I think that this movement will give an opportunity? I'd like to hope so. You know, I feel like I don't know if it's necessarily going to, you know, if it's necessarily going to help me directly, but that's not where my mindset is. My mindset is just like, this all needs to be normalized. There shouldn't be a Black thing, because what could come out of this is now people being so scared that now it's just like, oh, even more positive discrimination, if that makes sense, and an oversaturation. Then you could just get people who aren't very good at the job or aren't good representations of the Black community. Let's face it, have you ever seen, again, we have to fit certain stereotypes when you do see Black people on TV. They're big, they've got to be bad, or they've got to be like the Joker, the silly, the funny one, the idiot. You know, and are we going to see more of that? Do you see what I mean? You know, I really don't know. I'd like to be optimistic, and I feel like there's a revolution at the moment. I feel like something is changing. I feel like energy. Can you guys? I feel
that's powerful. It's powerful.
Yeah, there's something coming, and I really
definitely. So it's so, Kaz and I have said, it's so different than anything we've ever felt before. So things have happened in history before, and you know, it's kind of sparked a movement. But this feels so different. It's like I would almost describe it like a tsunami that has just gone right across the world and turned everything upside down. And people are now coming out of that and almost waking up and saying enough is enough. Absolutely. I mean, back to what you said about TV when you first started. Well, not when you first started out, but back in the early 2000s. I've made this comment many a time, just amongst my family, and I actually don't watch much TV because I'm fed up of turning my screen on and seeing a whitewash.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep it real. Now, back then, we used to see things like The Real McCoy. You used to have Norm Ski on BBC Two with his show. You used to have all of these shows.
So many
Desmond's,
shows.
Lenny Henry, The Delbert Wilkins Show. All of these shows that we used to love. I used to love them. I used to love it because we're seeing us.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And now you don't even see anybody that's representing you.
We've
regressed. How on earth did that happen when the world is supposed to be progressing all the time, and British TV has actually regressed? For me, it's crazy. And so for you being somebody in that, waiting on your island for that boat to return that never came back to you, that I can't even begin to imagine what that must feel like. So, you know, people have said you should be commended. You shouldn't just be at the table.
You should own your own restaurant. That's what Dawny B just said. Do you know what I mean? So, and it's the truth. You understand what I'm saying? And this is what it's all about. It's about now we're just speaking out. And I think what I would like to see us really do collectively is really start supporting one another and coming more into unity. You know, even for myself, I don't know how you guys feel, even certain adverts that I'm seeing where they keep on showing this, the poor side of Africa. I'm tired of seeing it. I want to start a petition. They need to take the ad down. Like, I'm tired because I've been seeing that all my life. And that's not a true reflection of what Africa looks like. When I went to Africa, to Ghana, I didn't see that. Yes, there was poverty, but not the level that you're showing me. Do you understand what I'm saying? So we need to also stop and change that narrative as well. We need to take action. You understand what I'm saying? So
would you say you've had any allies in your white peers in your industry? Would you say you've found any allies?
Yeah, of course, like loads. I mean, my Disney boss, my old Disney boss, the guy who gave me an opportunity in 2003 when I joined Disney, he's been a great ally even now. And in fact, when I had my radio show on The Beat London, I used to have these debates, really successful. And one week we did one on when is it okay to use the N-word? And about, no, the one he was on actually was, do you remember when H&M had that campaign with the young black boy in the monkey t-shirt and the black boy in the zoo ranger or whatever? I asked him, I said, would you come on to my show and speak against this really, you know, prolific guy, a black Muslim from Liverpool, you know, every sort of thing that he could have, like why people would just not dislike him. And the two of them came together, and you know what, it was amazing because Steve Wynn is his name. And he realized, he said at that point that he had white privilege. He didn't actually realize until he listened to the business, because he'd never been in a situation before where he was among all these black people who were just talking. And he thought, wow, he said, guys, I didn't know this is what you went. And he said, I'm looking at my team now. Yeah, he's now at the Beeb and whatever. He's a big fish. And he said, I'm looking at my team. And I realized that there's not one person of color, not one black person on my team. He said, I never realized that until today here at this conversation. And when I leave here, I'm going to go and recruit someone, which again, you could look at positive discrimination, but the bottom line is he walked out of there realizing his white privilege, you know, and he went and he made an immediate change, and he did go and recruit, you know, black people, and he's completely now more open to that. But someone like him has been a great ally. Anything that I've needed, I've been able to say, and I can also say to him, I can say, like, you know, the black thing type of thing, and it's never like you're using a race card or whatever. He just gets it. There are also, of course, presenter pals that I have who get it. But equally, you know, and I spoke about this the other day, and I don't really care who hears it or who doesn't. But my last job, as we know, the casino show, there was an incident there where, I mean, I was there for 6 years, and in the last like year or so, you know, got a bit slack, but so did a few of us, probably 20 presenters, and a few of us got a bit slack. And, you know, we'd be a bit late. Now, granted, I was only working there like 10 times a month max. So, you know, sometimes I come in a bit late, but I'm always there on time, always getting my results, always hot to trot, always on point. Now, as a professional, I hate admitting to you that I was late, because you guys know how professional I am, what a stickler I am. So I'm saying this with a lot of a humble heart right now. You know, however, the point is that it came to my attention from two of the producers there. Remember, I'm, again, token black as always. And two of these guys who, you know, you know, white guys who totally respect and love black culture and black people, and for them it's not a thing, but they understand the struggles. They came to me and said, look, your name is being brought up again and again and again in the meetings by other colleagues who are using you to say that you're the one being late, although there's plenty of other people being late and we're trying to mention it, but we're getting shut down and it's your name that's coming. Like, certain people are gunning for you. And I was like, what do you mean, who? Along with everyone here, everyone,
Yeah.
when Leah's in the building, everyone wants to come in Leah's dressing room, even if they're not working with Leah that night, because the music's playing, she's fun, she's fun, you know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. Even though you all want to touch my hair and ask me what, you know, what's going on and all that stuff. But, you know, you sort of take it on board and you carry on. But why me? I said, it doesn't make sense. Anyway, I became this poster girl. Out of all the presenters, I became the poster girl. I became the person. And nobody can understand why I was upset. Not even my colleagues. They were like, oh, but Leah, you know. I said, but you're late. First of all, I don't see you standing up and saying, but I'm late too. But you're late. That person's late. That person's late. Why is it my name? Nobody could understand why I felt upset about that. Because I couldn't turn around.
They wouldn't understand it, though. They wouldn't understand it.
Yeah.
Because obviously, as being a black person, this is the thing. This is where they make you feel as if, you know, you've got the issue. You've got the, you know, the chip on your shoulder. It's all in your imagination. You know, everybody else has been late.
But you were under the...
They'd even say BPT. They're like, oh, BPT. I'm like, what do you know about BPT? One time I was on air, remember, I'm unscripted, unrehearsed, working with several cameras, no auto cue, nothing like that. So you're really running this machine, you know, 2 hours of live airtime. And my producer said something. We're always bantering in between the little ads and stuff. And I said something to him and he said, so what you're going to do? He put on this voice, talks nothing like that, by the way. So what you're going to do, you're going to come in here and shank me.
You're going to what?
You're going to... I don't want to laugh. I laugh at these things. Hilarious. He said, you're going to come in here and shank me.
No.
I said,
I'm done.
I
can't. Oh, God.
I went, excuse me. And he went, yeah. And I said, listen. Whoa. He went to the ad or whatever. And I said, listen, if anyone heard that back, I swear I could sue you, you know, and take you to some kind of tribunal. I said, you can't say things like that. He said, yeah, but I'm joking. And, you know, I can say it. I'm gay. I said, listen.
No.
I have ever told you I would never make any kind of homosexual joke or anything like that. I don't care how many gay friends I've got. I don't care how many gay friends have come out to me before they come out to the world with their own gay friends. Do you understand?
Yeah.
To turn around and try and say things like that to me as a black, me and you aren't on that level. You can't say things like that. And, you know, it was kind of like, oh, apology. But I remember telling our colleagues, some of our colleagues, because we all got along. And they went, oh, really? They didn't get it. And again, I was this lone voice going, how does nobody see that there is something wrong with that? And again, you go home to internalize this and you think you're crazy. I must be crazy. I've got a chip on my shoulder. I am the diva. You know, I am. It's just like.
But what you described, you were under the famous microscope that I talk about. That it doesn't exist for your white colleagues. Everything you do, in fact, they're waiting for you to do it. To use it's always your basically your color is a weapon against you. And as soon as you step a foot wrong in their eyes, that's it. They're coming down on you like a ton
of brick, babe.
I've been in meetings, production meetings, where my white male counterparts would be going at an exec about things that, you know, they don't like, shouting and in their face and blah, blah, blah. I remember once asking for a clock in the dressing room so I wouldn't be late. And I was told that I was causing trouble. And I'm like, you know, I left there 3 years later, there's still no clock in the bloody dressing room. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, those other guys who were standing up and shouting and whatever, it was fine for them. The minute as a black woman, I say something, it's just like, whoa. And let's not get started as well on the fact, especially in my industry, that if there is one black person in that place, they have to literally die or leave the country for you to get that spot. And it's the same with the casino show I was just doing. I knocked on that door for so many years. That show was on air for like over 10 years. And there was a black guy that presented it, if any of you remember. And every time I knocked that door, they'd say, no, there's no room at the inn, no room at the inn, no room. And I knew that black guy needs to leave. When that black guy leaves, I'll get the call.
Then you're gonna go through, yeah.
One day I got the call, and I knew, okay, audition, fine, but I knew that I would get the job. And I did get the job, and I had many, many happy years there. And it was a great company to work for, and they were great people. But you don't need to be racist to do racist things, in my opinion.
That is exactly the key, Leah. Somebody else said it. Because it's become such an offensive word for white people as well, they are so defensive if they're accused of being racist. So in order to try and get the message home, we have said that actually your behaviour is racist, so that they actually have the opportunity to look at their behaviour rather than feel like it's an attack on themselves. They need to actually analyse their behaviour. So that's a really important point that you mentioned there. But we know you're great. Everybody watching thinks you're great. We all know you're great. Your longevity in this game proves that. You know, we've received great training from you. This has happened. It's been a watershed moment. So where do you see things going next for you? Because obviously we've got some more people to bring on. Where do you see this going next for you in terms of your own personal journey within the TV world?
Well, the thing is, in the TV world, I literally just go by what has already been written. Yeah? Listen, I know that my Lord, the God that I know and serve, he is the biggest executive producer that the world knows. And therefore, it's all in his hands, and it always has been. And despite the downs or whatever, look, every single great person who's paved a way in some kind of way in their field, they have to have a story. They have to have gone through some... Yeah, do you know what I mean? And I've realized through all this that actually the bipolar, the breakdown, the struggles in the industry, this is all for a reason. And so I put this here, and I leave this here as part of my legacy, and pray that we can look back on it one day and see that this was one of the defining moments. And when we look back and go, wow, she did it, she got there. But it's all down to God. It's all in his time. And he, honestly, look, 20 years later, without an agent, with people knocking me back because of the colour of my skin, and I'm still here. The longer I'm here, the longer the receipt, and then people can't hide away from it. So right now I'm here, and I feel proud, and I'm happy to be counted for, and I'm excited about this movement that's going on at the moment, and I know things are going to change. They have to change. And any big time that as black people we have made change in the world, they have had to be sacrificing. They've had to been things, you know, that have gone down and thrown into rivers, do you know what I mean, in order to make those changes. And if that's what the time is, that's what the time is. And, you know, bless you all, man. I wish everyone well during these times, and just keeping safe, and just don't quit. Just whatever happens, let's not quit, but let's continue to support each other. And I'm really proud of you too, as well, what you're doing. So well done.
Oh, thank you so much, Leah. Thank you. That means a lot.
Thank you.
Before we let you go, when you get your show, we have a place on your sofa. We're coming. We need an interview, please. We're booking that slot from now.
Sorry, who? Catching out? Oh. You know me, I'm that person that, you know what, I always say it. If I can't help you, I know a man who can. I do everything, but the one thing about me is I have a big heart. I know that, and going through what I've gone through has given me the deepest level of compassion that I didn't have before bipolar. So, you know, there's always my love and support, and you guys always give me love and support back. You've helped me more than you even know. So thank you very much.
Oh, Leah, thanks. We love you so much.
Love you, Queen.
Thank you. We'll speak soon.
And to everybody watching, I didn't get to read your questions, so I'm really, really sorry. But I will scroll up and, you know, follow me, inbox, whatever. Don't slide in my DMs, but you can send me a message.
So, all right. Thank you, Leah. So we've got our next guest. We've got Rudy Liquid, comedian, who's going to share his experience of dissecting racial structural racism within the workplace. So Rudy Liquid, you there, sir? Let's find you. Oh my gosh, Leah is just absolutely amazing. The show is just been great.
Well, I just love her refreshing honesty and her resilience, because she's definitely not a quitter, and she inspires us all the time. She advises us all the time, and she's really honest with us as well when she gives us her feedback, you know, about how we have been. When she watches our show, and she takes the time out to give us feedback. And so Leah's absolutely right. Timing is everything, and everything that she's gone through is for a reason, and her time is coming. We know that. I know that. You know, I've got no doubt about that. So Leah, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
So we are looking for Rudy.
He's not there.
He's not there.
He's not there.
He's not there.
Never mind. We've got loads of people watching, so we're just going to keep it moving. So, oh, Mr. Maurice is here. Mr. Maurice wants to come on. Mr. Maurice, we're going to bring you on in a little while, but I just wanted to touch on a bit about what Leah said, because, as I said, I was going to explain like some of my experience. So one of the very first reality TV shows, this is when reality TV wasn't really even a thing, I applied for it. I applied for Model Behaviour way back in 2001 on Channel 4. And I got down to the last, when they were going through the selection process, it was me, and from my round, it was me and a white girl who were chosen as the last two. And so we're going back almost 20 years. And even almost 20 years ago, in that last moment, I was full of hope, full of optimism, but there was something in the back of my mind that said, they're going to choose her. They're going to choose her. And they did. Now, whether or not it was because of my colour, fair enough, you know, I will never be able to say. But when they actually started going through the course of that program, and, you know, just like any other program, they select the finalists, just like a pop idol, and then they start to whittle them down. And then they got their last selection of models that they started to send out to work and to agencies and stuff. I remember that there was this black guy there, gorgeous, handsome, dark-skinned black guy. And one of the judges, I think one of the judges was from GQ magazine, and a couple of other people from in the industry, and they were all white, the judges, or the mentor/judges. And they actually said to him on Channel 4, in front of, you know, whatever audience that was watching, they said, you're black, and we're just warning you from now, it's going to be very tough for you to break into the industry in this country. So and that's just one example. I remember that, and that's going back then. So, you know, for Leah's experience, she's been there countless times, still here, still fighting. And as I say, you know, Leah, God isn't ready for you just yet, but it's around the corner.
And you have to really be thick-skinned. And sometimes I think, you know, even when we look at today, in terms of we look at the media, you know, take away like social media, but in terms of what you see on television and everything else, you do have to have a level of thick skin, because you are presented with this unbiased racism constantly, and you know it's there, and it's almost as if you can't actually do anything about it to a certain extent. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because even if you do make a complaint about it, but who are you really complaining to?
But that's a big part of the problem.
Do you know what I'm saying? Because you haven't got anybody there that's going to be able to understand where you're coming from as a black person. And these are the constant issues that we're, you know, having all the time. So,
so we haven't got, I don't think Rudy's with us, but that's okay. We've got Mr. Maurice. Please, guys, we've got a request. I wonder who that is requesting. It's Mr. Maurice.
Mr. Maurice.
All the way from sunny LA, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, I think it was Los Angeles. So, Mr. Maurice, make sure you got your light on, sir.
I do. Do you see me?
No.
Get out of here.
We cannot see you, and we want to see you.
Jesus,
Reveal yourself.
I don't know. I don't know what to do. Jesus.
Have you got any light? Can you turn on lights wherever you are? So just you just need to turn it around to yourself. Turn it around.
Not.
You don't need to see your mouth.
There's a.
This
like the last time, Mr. Maurice. What's going on?
Okay.
Experience at this.
I'm not good with modern technology. How we doing, ladies?
We are good.
Very well, thank you. You?
Wonderful. Like sunshine on a cloudy day.
Glad to hear it. And that beautiful smile.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate it.
Okay, so as we're on the subject on dissecting structural racism within the workplace, I believe you're here to share your experience and yeah.
Yes. So I won't say the county's name. So I'm a plumber by trade. So I was working, got a job with the county, where I live in. You guys call them bureaus. We call them the county, the government, local government, basically. And so I was with a certain department. I got a promotion with another department, higher pay, better benefits, and so forth. But I had got three departments. I chose the one because it was quicker to get in than the other two. But the one that I chose, I was the only black person in the whole entire department. You know, outside of the secretary, it was, you say. But far as a tradesman, I was the only one back there. It was generally in my area is predominantly Hispanic and Mexican, but it was more whites than even the Hispanics. And I was the only black, and that was it. Maybe one Asian or whatever, one Asian that I know of. And so I had to get past going to another department. I had to do the probation and things like that. Even though I would still became a county worker, a local government worker for the 2 years that I was there in another department. And it made it hard on me. I was getting certain jobs, the rut end of the jobs. I was working out in the heat, painting street curbs red, like from a 10, 20 block radius where other ones didn't get it. I got on hot roofs during the summer. And the sad part about it is, well, I'm not going to jump ahead. My supervisor told me he don't see me as such. He told when I went to his superiors, I don't see him as such, and no matter what, you're not going to sway me any otherwise. And I said, that's, don't you think that's kind of harsh? You know, I'm not even finished with probation to show what I can do, and you already prejudged me right there. So whatever I do, it won't pleasing to you, which you ultimately have to grade me to pass me to keep me to stay to be permanent. So I said, I want to move off this team because it was 4 other teams, and let me go to another team to get a better shape. Well, his superiors wouldn't let him say, no, you're looking at it wrong, Maurice, and things like that. I said, no, I'm not looking at totally. I'm looking at totally what it is, especially being the only black, not only on this team, but this whole department. It don't look good on you guys' behalf. And I'm not using that as a threat because you will take that as get defensive and a threat because I'm the only black here. But I'm just speaking up and saying, look, I'm doing all my work. I come to work on time. The only time I missed a day is with the birth of my child or the death of my brother. I missed 2 days within the whole 6 months. And so I'm like, you guys don't have no legitimate reason, especially with my so-called supervisor, that don't see nothing in me. I've been here 3 months already, and jobs apparently getting done. If it was not so, he would have came to me. If it was not so, it would have been brought up to me. If it was not so, I would have been either verbally, at the very least, told or written up at worst. And so I have not received. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So just to be clear, you were on probation. You started a new job. You're on probation. You were one of the only black people on the team. Yeah.
I was the only black person.
Okay, so you were the only black person on the team,
yes.
And before you were able to pass your probation, you were told they don't see anything substantial within you for you to continue in the role. That's how it was told to you.
Basically, the supervisor, the direct supervisor that I had told me that. The upper echelons, their supervisor did not say nothing because I knew, and then I had to catch on that was very political. Of course, they didn't say nothing, but let it just play off. Well, I get to the end of probation, fast forward, and it's either you have to let me go or you have to make me permanent. It's either way. Well, they found the loophole in the system to say, we're going to extend your probation another 2 months. Why? That's never heard of. Why are you going to extend my probation? Either you see what you're going to get or what you're not going to get. And so I went to the union, which the union we had was crap. Okay. I went to the union and say, look, I'm paying you guys. You guys have to represent me. So they represented me to to the point, and then now they start checking on me, make sure I take my breaks, my lunches, and things like that. I went to what's called the EEOC here, the Equal Employment Opportunity Committee, which governs companies that treat people wrong, discrimination, sex, creed, color, race, yada yada. And so I did not file, but I had my stuff on record to say, just to have in my back pocket, if they do let me go, then I'm gonna pull that out of my pocket, and from there. So I started documenting everything I did. I got recommendations from the people of the buildings. They send me out on a call. I got recommendations from the managers and the relationship that I built with them, just to keep one hand away from the other, to have to my disposal for documentations of my proof of my professionalism, my timely jobs completed, love what I do. And so my union represented me to the point that of course the HR manager, the young lady, was on their side, and I read the bylaws to the point that she very felt insulted, because when she would talk, I would combat her with the rules and regulations, and she didn't expect that. And so I'm just saying, look, I'm just fair shake. I know you know what's the rules and regulation here. I have not done nothing to warrant to not be here unless I'm not wanted here, and that is not right on the other part. Well, 2 days later, they called me into the office. They let me go on a Thursday afternoon. The following day, I went to the EEOC. So right now, I've been laid off, and then the pandemic hit. So this just happened just recently.
So this is just now?
Yeah, just recently, this year. Yes, around Christmas. And so this past Christmas. And so I was very heartbroken and things like that. But then I had to realize, people, especially Black people, have to realize that we wasn't brought here for peace and prosperity in this continent. We was brought here for the white man's labor, to be honest. And now that we no longer are slaves, we're no longer benefit, we're no longer profitable to them, they can't get rid of us because we have no connection with Africa or home. And then at the same time, either they jealous, they turn us, we become feminine, as far as speaking from a male's perspective, to the point of gay, or you want to add that too. Not, trying to look bad on that, but that, or they paint us in a light to be unapproachable to the point that we're not hired, we're not qualified to be hired. So we don't even get looked at to be hired to check our resume. What I've done, past employees and things like that. And so I try to get other jobs within the county then, but right now I am in a lawsuit with the county. So they're going to pay me because they found negligence for them wrongfully firing me, because I never missed a day. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So in all that you're explaining, really, what you're saying is that you started a new job, you worked damn hard, there was no just cause to tell you that you weren't good enough, and you sought some advice and you started documenting what was going on, and you took them to task.
Yes.
Just to kind of clarify what you were saying around these kind of stereotypes that are more that are kind of thrust onto Black men, either you're more tolerated if you are more effeminate, is what you're saying,
more passive.
Shows, so we just want to say that we're inclusive when there is no discrimination against anybody here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? Or you are to the other extreme where you're told that you're aggressive, etc., and then therefore you're told that you're not acceptable.
Exactly. Yes, you are. And I had to really tread lightly. I had to, if I had to be at work at 7:30, I will come at 7 o'clock. If I be at work, I'll work a little bit longer if necessary. I always document conversations with certain workers because they wouldn't report back, because they were friends with my supervisor on my same team and other teams. So I will be watched by other workers from other teams as well as the workers on my team, due to, I filed a complaint against the supervisor. Not only
you had 1,000 eyes on you, basically.
Yes.
Everyone's eyes are on you. You're under 1 million microscopes right now.
Oh man, yes. And this is the sad part. They hired a guy. It was a guy that was it was 3 guys on probation with 2 other guys. Okay. one is older white guy. He was in the same position with me, and they hired him on. And I came in before him. I came in like a few minutes before him, but they hired him on. And at the same time, I'm like, why you don't hire this guy? You gave him overtime. I was never allowed, or I never was asked for overtime, and that's what kind of helped my case when I filed against the county with the EEOC. It's like, look, they hired this other guy because I had to mirror the discrimination with someone else in my same ilk, my same position, and things like that. Because I would have just been the angry black man, or if I would have just been the disgruntled employee. So I said, okay. I started, friends, hey man, they gave you overtime? Yeah, they gave me overtime. Did they give you Maurice? No, they didn't give you. Oh, when was that? No problem.
So you gathered your evidence. You gathered your evidence.
I had to do that.
Of course you had to do. I'm just conscious of
what Michelle was saying, isn't it? You have to gather your evidence.
Of course you do. Of course you absolutely do. I'm just conscious of the time because I think we've only got
no problem.
Left, and I don't want you to get cut off. I don't want you to go just yet.
No
so
problem.
I just want you to wrap up your story if you can within those couple of minutes and tell us you are going to get paid. They have admitted their liability and you're going to get paid for your compensation. It doesn't take any away of any of the treatment, but
they did not admit their liability. It's basically like settled outside. See what I'm saying?
I get it. I get it.
There you go. And so, of course, they're not going to admit because that will put a bigger stain on them than admitting. Okay, just like the NFL with Colin Kaepernick, they can't admit that they were wrong and they had to apologize to him publicly because they settled something in court of dispute, so they can't admit things. So it's like saying something to a person without publicly admitting.
It happens here too. They don't want to go through that whole process. Yeah. Go on.
If I could just say one more thing. We have the work twice as hard to be on an even playing field is so truer than I believe. And you just have to watch yourself. And I just recommend anyone just watch yourself, document everything you do, and then be cautious. Even though I have Caucasian friends, and it's not against all Caucasians, whites, watch what you say. Always know that you can be brought in on a carpet at any time. So be careful for nothing. And that's all I got to say, but thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Maurice.
Thank you so much for joining us all the way from across the Atlantic. And
till next time.
We love your support, and we love the fact that you've come on and shared with us. And we know that this problem is global, so we really appreciate your contribution. And we just hope that the future is better and brighter for you. I know it will be anyway.
I'm looking forward towards. I have greater hope than that, and I don't let my personal circumstances get me upset. So I have joy. But thank you.
Yeah.
Take care, ladies. Be blessed.
You too. Stay joyous.
Yeah. All right,
take care now. Bye-bye.
Wow. So it just goes to show it's everywhere. It's just...
It's a global pandemic.
Someone just made a comment. There's this one. I can see it from here.
Yeah, there's a few comments in there. Go on now.
So blacks live a tortured life, tiptoeing around whites in the workplace. We tie ourselves in knots, trying not to trigger whites to focus their discrimination in our direction.
Yeah. It's the same thing. It's this thing about white fragility, and we do pander to that. But we need to be balanced in this conversation. We need to be honest, Kaz, right? And we've spoken about this between ourselves because of the torment that we've faced for so many years. Because of the struggle, we have become so angry, quite rightly so frustrated, quite rightly so, very defensive, quite rightly so, that sometimes we all of that angst is built up, and this is back to what Michelle was saying about not bringing the emotion in. Sometimes that angst is built up so much that when people genuinely do want to have an open and honest conversation, they feel like they can't. And so I think we also have a responsibility. I'm not saying not to have all of those feelings and emotions, and I'm not even saying that it's our responsibility to teach people, because there are many resources out there for people to go and educate themselves. But we do have a responsibility to try and separate the emotion and try and have those conversations. This is a watershed moment. And we just need to be open as well as Black people.
Definitely. So, guys, we are we're now come to the end of the show, and we just want to say thank you.
Oh, we're not going to have any more guests.
What,
no, yeah, let's go to. We're going to come back again.
Okay,
yeah,
we're going to come back.
Yeah, I think we're still going to continue this conversation and come back again.
My apologies.
All right, see you on the other side.